continue to Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Female Empowered Podcast. I'm your host, I'm Christa Gurka, and welcome to the show. How are you all feeling? We're at the beginning of June, almost halfway through the year, which is insanity. It's hard to believe. If you have kiddos, you know there's a lot going on right now, right? End of school, Mother's Day, Father's Day, graduations, kids going off to college, kids coming home from college. It's a lot. This time of year is a lot. And maybe if you have littles and you run a business, I used to hate summer because I was like, what am I going to do with my kids when I have to go to work? Whereas now I love summer because my kids are old enough to fend for themselves and I don't have to deal with homework and lunches. But when they were little, summer was really, really challenging for me. People were going on vacation and doing all the stuff, and that just was not my reality. I had a business to run, and I couldn't take 3 months off. So when my kids were really little, having to do like summer camp and figure out a different schedule was really stressful to me. So for those of you women that are going through that right now, I hear you and I feel you. And what we're going to talk about today on this episode is what to do when your business is burning you out. Right. And we just recently had our My Beyond the Movement Inner Circle mentorship program. We had our retreat, and of the 10 women that were there, at least half of them spoke about burnout. We had a lot of tears shed because for some reason we feel that we're failing if we're burning out. Um, Society's probably made us feel that way. But the reality is, whether you're generating $100,000 in your business or $10 million in your business, I can tell you firsthand that what you're feeling is across the board. Women across the board at every level of revenue and profit are feeling like they're being pulled in multiple directions. And it's not uncommon. So what I want to talk about today is, one, open up that dialogue and discussion that burnout is real. It's a real thing. You're not making it up. But let's dive in a little more to actually what is burning us out. Okay. And what we can do about it and the choices that we have, because we do have choices. It may not be choices that you want, but we do have choices. And so what we choose to do with our time and how we choose to spend our time and what we choose to prioritize, they are choices. They might be two choices you don't want to choose from, but we still have those choices. And so today, that's what I really want to talk about. I want to talk about who we have to become to get to where we want to go, which is really the crux of the situation. Who do we as people, as individuals, need to become to get to where we want to go? And what are those choices? What are those options? Do we push through? Do we scale back? Do we fire our team? Do we hire more people? Do we do what I can tell you is true? Is whatever you choose to do is going to be uncomfortable because it's something outside your wheelhouse. So a lot of us burn out because we are high achievers and we just keep taking more and more and more on our plate. I mean, there's so many reasons why. That's a whole other podcast. But so what we have to do to get out of this phase is uncomfortable for us, because if it was comfortable, we would have done it already. So let's first define burnout. Okay. Burnout is defined a lot of ways. For the sake of this episode, the way we're going to define it is that it's a physical, emotional, and a mental state of exhaustion brought about by ongoing, recurring stress. Okay. So it's a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion brought on by recurring stress. And if you're a business owner, that's just like one more thing that's bringing you stress. If you're a mom, that's one more thing that's bringing you stress. If you're a wife, that's another thing that's bringing you stress. If you're a daughter, a sibling, a friend, a caretaker, there's a lot of things. All right. And so all of these things compound on each other. And it's that very cliche, like you can't pour from an empty cup. So if our cup is empty, or rather, our cup is not empty, it's overflowing. It's overflowing. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the signs of burnout. And I see this, and I'm going to speak firsthand about burnout in this episode. So, um, but the signs of burnout, okay? Signs could be what we call like freeze, right? Like motivation and passion for your work. So those of you that are like, I don't know why I just can't do anything, and all you're doing is sitting there scrolling, it's a sign of like you can't bring yourself to complete the tasks at hand because you would rather just numb out. So you're basically in a state of freeze. So that leads to reduced productivity and performance. People are kind of like, are you checked out? What's going on? You feel physically and emotionally exhausted. You become highly reactive to things. Again, because our cup is so full, we can't pour any more into it. So it's like if you had a day where the AC breaks, so now you know it's going to be like a five, six, $10,000 investment. One of your top employees just resigns or says she wants to go down to part-time. You come home, you found out that your kid got an F on an exam and is at risk of failing. And then your partner comes home and says, what's for dinner? Like your cup, there's already a flood in your brain. And that what's for dinner situation is enough to want you to rip somebody's head off. Okay. So you just have way too much on our plate. And we do not have the skill set right now to emotionally regulate, to articulate what we're feeling and what we need. And then that leads to like severe cynicism, detachment from clients, team members, detachment from our families, detachments from our friends. Okay. I'm going to give you a very, very specific example of something that happened to me probably, gosh, it was definitely before COVID. So 2018, maybe 2017, 2018. So at this point, we have two locations. We had a third, we closed it down, or we didn't close it down. It failed basically. So we had to shut it down. So maybe 2017, 2018. And we're doing over $1 million in revenue. We're doing probably 20% profit. We're doing really well. I had a situation where I thought I was putting together a leadership team. I thought I was promoting from within. And then I had this really difficult situation at work where we did a 360 review and people said, really hurtful things about me. It's calling me a hypocrite, saying that I was an egomaniac and that I was really selfish. And here I am thinking like, I'm doing everything in my power to give these people like a good place to work. And I was just devastated. I was emotionally spent and burnt out. And I was crying. And then I was going home every day and not really talking to my husband, not really really reactive with my kids, spending time in my room, like I was completely detaching myself from everything in my life and the things that meant the most to me, my family. And when I did talk to people, I was just super reactive and pissy. And, I was just mean. And I was probably like that to my team. And I was not happy at all. And so I cried a lot. And then I finally decided, you know what? Instead of blaming everyone else for this situation, I'm going to take some ownership of it. And I'm going to realize that I had a big hand in creating this situation. I started going to therapy more regularly. And I came to realize the reason that I was kind of creating these situations was because I was looking for validation. I was doing all the things because I felt like that was my role in life. Like, I can do it all. I don't need to ask for help. Asking for help is weakness. Don't show your vulnerability. People will think you're weak and then they'll step all over you. You don't need anyone. You can do it all yourself. And my mindset was like, I do it. Why can't you? And I just recognized that I had to take some ownership in what I was doing. Right. I felt bad asking people to do stuff. Why? Because I'm a people pleaser. Why? Because I want people to like me. Why? Because I need external validation to make me feel good about myself. Okay. So it took a long time to like peel back all these layers and recognize what really was burning me out was having to like task switch all the time and be this person in this friend group and this person in my marriage and this person at the studio and this person with clients, which is part of what makes me really successful is that I can be whoever people need me to be. But at the same time, it's utterly exhausting. So I finally put in the work of becoming who I needed to be in order to take not only my business, because that is one thing, but take my life, myself, my family, my joy, my internal satisfaction, and then ultimately my business to another level, to a different stage, because it would never get to where it is today if I stayed being that same person and that same mindset. I would have completely crumbled under the pressure. I definitely was having physical symptoms. I started getting all of these crazy autoimmune signs and symptoms. I ended up in the hospital twice. One time was such a bad case of inflammatory iritis, which is like in my eye, that they injected steroids into my eye. I mean, it was like bad. Okay. It wasn't great. I can tell you it sucked. It sucked. Okay. But like as Brene Brown said, I had to embrace the suck and I had to get to the other side. And it was really uncomfortable to do so. But those are the feelings of like burnout when you're overwhelmed, irritable, mood swings, lack of motivation. Now, if you listen to TikTok, that could be menopause, anxiety, COVID, um, period pain, all this kind of stuff. But there are also signs of burnout, muscle tension, changes in your appetite, difficulty concentrating, procrastinating, negative self-talk. That was the other thing. I was always like, oh, I'm a bad boss. I'm a bad wife. I'm a bad mom. And I'm not any of those things. I was just acting as that in that current time. Okay. So if you feel yourself getting detached, getting irritable with people around you, I would encourage you to take a step back and see what is it that I can change, whether it's about myself or the situation, that will allow me the capacity to be who I need to be for my business, for my family, for myself. Okay. Rest does not mean you have to take your foot off the gas pedal. And most of the people I work with, most of the people I talk to, were super high achieving, super high achieving. So the thought of taking our foot off the gas pedal is like so foreign to us. It doesn't even resonate. You're like, no, why would I take my foot off the gas pedal? So it's not necessarily taking our foot off the gas pedal. Okay. But it is stopping from time to time to fill up our tank, to put fuel in the tank. Because if we're going to keep putting our foot on the gas pedal, we're going to keep needing more fuel. And that there is where lies that like yin and yang of you got to fill up so you can keep your foot on the gas pedal. All right. And so they're a yes and. So let's talk a little bit about some options we have when we're feeling this way. The first option I say for sure is get some help. Whether that means get yourself in a mastermind of some other like-minded individuals. I'm in a couple of them. I'm also in a female group that has nothing to do with business, but we talk about emotions. And by the way, I'm just going to say I've come a long way, because 5 years ago, I would have rather stabbed myself in the face than talk about my emotions with strangers, let alone with people that I actually know. and valued their opinions. Okay. So come a long way. So one, I would say, get yourself in a like-minded community so you can realize that you're not alone. You can realize you're not alone. There's so much of this going on. And when we're in a group of other women, we can also really empathize, and those things resonate with people. Okay. And you can say, even the high achievers, even the women that are, like, go, 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 be successful, be successful, be successful. The women, I think I posted it. We did something like, we were on track to hit, the women in the inner circle are on track to hit over $15 million in revenue collectively for the year. It's pretty amazing. Okay. So let's get yourself in a group of women. That's number one. Number two, if you want to ask for help from a professional, you can ask for help from a therapist, a counselor, something of that tasks. Okay. Now let's really talk from a real boots on the ground in your business type of strategy. Okay. So one thing, if you're going to push through this and not press pause, you need to learn how to, I'm going to say this, hold the boundaries. Setting the boundaries is the easy part. Holding the boundary is the hard part. Setting the boundary is the easy part. Holding the boundary is the hard part. Because you can set a boundary, like, I'm not going to check my email after 6 p.m., but if you don't do it, what good is it? So holding the boundaries is difficult. All right. So let's talk about setting some boundaries. Like, maybe you need to put someone in a role where they're doing vacation requests instead of you. And then if people keep coming to you with their vacation requests, keep reminding them, oh, that goes to Sally now. Remember, let's use the process. Okay. What can you delegate and get off your plate? Can you schedule a break? I have people sometimes in the mastermind groups that are like, oh, I can't make the call. I see a client at that time. Again, you have a choice. You can move the client. You're like, well, I can't move the client. Well, you can move the client. You're choosing not to move the client. So you're prioritizing. And then you could say, well, I'm prioritizing money. Well, I would say, if you don't come to the coaching calls to learn how you can better your business that can triple your money, you're choosing 1 hour of revenue over a possible 10 hours of revenue. So again, that's a choice. It might not be a choice you like, but it's a choice. Okay. So using support systems. And if you don't have any, getting yourself some. Now, what about some other options? Maybe it's time to look at a failing initiative or a failing location and decide you're going to close it. These are hard things as business owners, but if you're running yourself into a ground trying to keep something open that's not profitable, then that could be a reason you just have to scale back and start again. Okay. That is an option. Again, it might not be a choice that you want to make, but that is an option. What about changing team members? Do you need to hire more team members? Do you need to bring on more support systems, even if it costs you some in the interim, so you can get to that next stage, that next level? And I know it's scary to hire because money is not coming in the door, but there are things we can do. We can take out lines of credit. And I'm not saying go crazy in debt, but we'll never get to that next level unless we can create the infrastructure for us to step on the step to get to the next level. Okay. What if you need to get rid of some underperformers? Okay. The team that got you here may not be the team that gets you there. It happens all the time in business, especially when you're a high business, like a big business that's getting investors. A lot of times when they come in, they look at the team and they're like, this team is great for here, but this team isn't going to get us from 10 million to 25 million. We need a different team. And that's okay. Maybe there's another role in the business for that team member, but if they're underperforming, and your fear of being confrontational could be ruining the rest of your business and causing burnout. And you work too hard to have people in your atmosphere, in your world, creating this negative feeling for you. And there doesn't have to be a fight about it. Okay. That there doesn't have to be a fight. It's okay for you to feel badly and recognize that this person is not helping you grow, not giving what is required in this role. And you have to make a change. Okay. That's okay. So, what are some other things that you can think about? Okay. What are some other things? What about, um, what about getting back to your why, right? What about getting back to um, why you started this business, right? Let's go through a little bit of an exercise to help you get back to that, to help you remember what it was that made you want to start your business. Let's do a little exercise together, shall we? I'm just going to take a little sip of water. Ah, excellent. Oh, it tastes so refreshing. So let's talk about this little exercise. And I have a PDF for you to download. So at the end of the episode in the show notes, I'm going to give you a PDF of this exact exercise so that you can print it out or listen to it again and maybe write down. I'm a big fan of pen to paper. And then I'm also going to share with you some of my favorite mindset mantras that help me when I start either feeling like I'm burning out again or I'm feeling resistance to hold the boundaries that are going to keep me from burning out. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through this little exercise. Okay. So first thing I want you to do, and you can think about this if you're driving or walking. Okay. But if you have the time and you're at home and you want to print this out or just write it down in a notebook or something, you can do that too. Think back to when you first became passionate, not about the business, but about the niche that you're in. Boxing, Pilates, physical therapy, pelvic health, yoga, bar, a combination of everything. What sparked that interest? Um, for me, I know when I first started doing Pilates, I thought it made me a better therapist. I thought that I was like understanding the body and the movement in a different way, that I could see these type of things in my patients and clients, and I could really make change in their movement and biomechanics. And so for me, I became fascinated then by like the movement practice and how we can really make lasting changes. So what was it that first brought about that passion? Then what was it? What were the reasons that you decided to turn that passion into your business? What was it that once you made you go from like practitioner to entrepreneur? And then what I'd like you to do is kind of make a list of all the roles that you've filled from start to finish. So maybe student, then you became teacher, then you became maybe a manager of some location or a clinical director, and then you went into opening your own practice. Like what have all the roles that you've filled in this industry so far? Okay. Now, moving on to the next part. What are your top 3 reasons for starting your business? Mine, if I think back onto it, were I saw a need in the community. So, for example, I worked at a Pilates based physical therapy clinic, but we didn't have anything for them to do when they were done with therapy. So, I saw a need of like, all these people want to go to Pilates classes. Why should we refer out this built in business? So, that was one need. Another need was I was kind of at a crossroads where I was like, I really like to teach and I really like to teach the group classes and show people like this form of exercise. And so for me, I couldn't do that only working one-on-one with patients. So I was like, that's another reason why I wanted to do it. And then number 3 was I felt maybe I could have a little more autonomy over my schedule in the long run. So those were my initial reasons for why I started them. Um, and so what I'd like you to do is, what are your top 3 reasons for starting your business? And then what were the core values that were essential to you when launching your business? So, like for me, one of the things was, and it's still one of the core values of Pilates and Grove, is creating community. I really wanted to create this community of like-minded people that could share movement experiences together in a non-judgmental platform. So what are some of the core values that were essential to you when you were launching your business? Okay. Now, if you forget this, don't worry. Like I said, I'm gonna have a PDF for you, a downloadable PDF. And if you want to, you can grab it in the show notes, pause this episode, grab it, print it, and then go from there. So now, next thing we're gonna do is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how aligned is your current situation with each of the reasons and goals that you started? So if you've went way out to the left, how can we pull you back in? And same for your core values. Have you gone way sideways on that? So once you do that, what is one core or goal or core value that you really need to reprioritize to reignite your passion for what it is that you're doing? And I want you to write down a couple action steps that you can take to realign your business and life with that value you need to reprioritize. Okay. So for me, I love going to workshops and conferences in person because it kind of reinvigorates me. So whenever I really feel a sense of burnout or freeze and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I love being in person with people, because then I look at other people and I'm like, that is why I'm doing this. I want to be that type of therapist. I want to be that type of mother. I want to be that type of leader. And so I get reignited and I come back and I'm like, okay, I'm reinvigorated. Maybe for you, it's sitting on the beach, or maybe for you, it's taking a long walk or taking a weekend away just to kind of like recenter yourself, or realize why you're doing what you're doing. Okay. One exercise that really, really, and again, this is because, like I said at the beginning, I get a lot of motivation from external validation. I'm still working on that, but I give this exercise to myself and to everyone in my mastermind groups, where it's called like the 3 superpowers exercise. So I send an email to clients of Pilates and Grove, and also some of my coaching clients, or even my personal patients. And I'm like, I'm doing this exercise, trying to reevaluate what is it that I bring to the table in terms of you working with me, or in terms of you working with Pilates and the Grove. Could you give me 3 superpowers, so to speak, you could say, or 3 traits that you value in either myself, so if you're looking for them for you individually, or us as a company, and why, right? And I'll send it to 10, 20, 30 people in the hopes that I'll get 10 back. And I will tell you, those things where people say, like, your work makes a difference. You empower me to be a better person. You made me realize I am not my pain. I am more than that. Um, it really makes you realize all the good you are doing in the world. Okay. And so I think it's really a phenomenal exercise when we're just feeling like, what the fuck? I just want to fucking close it down and move to Costa Rica and sell surfboards, or, something like that. And we've all felt it. We've all felt it. Some of us more than others, some of us bigger than others. But I can tell you, if you let burnout continue to rear its ugly head, it will come for you. And it will come for you in terms of your health. It will come for you in terms of your relationships. It will come for you in terms of injuries and financial, situations at times. And all of us work way too hard to let this business and the burnout in our business take away from the reason most of us are doing this. It's for financial freedom and flexibility to be with our families and be a better version of ourselves. And if that's no longer happening, we need to take a real hard look at what can we do to change the situation that we are in? Because we can change the situation. We can. We have the power to do so. And if you feel like you don't have the power to do so, then I encourage you to look for support. You know, we're opening enrollment to our inner circle, which is our high level mastermind of businesses generating $250,000 or more. And most of them are really suffering from burnout when they get into this program. And they've finally said, like, I want this to go to a level that I don't think I can take it there by myself. And I need the help and a little bit of like, I look at myself as like guardrails or like the bumper lanes when you're bowling. And like, I don't necessarily tell you where to go, but if you get too far to the left, I can bring you back to the center. Okay. And everyone's center is different. Your center is going to be different than my center. All right. But I can be that person that walks with you alongside you and can help, keep you in this state where if we see you going in one direction, I can maybe bring to your attention, hey, I think you're veering back into these old habits and these old situations. And it could be why you're feeling a certain way. So if you're interested in that, we have that. We have our Fit Biz Foundations program, which is for women emerging business owners that have yet to hit $200,000 in revenue and still need support and still need some guidance. And these are the people that really need like the how to. How do I hire a bookkeeper? Who do I look for a bookkeeper? Do I need a bookkeeper? How do I start with QuickBooks? What are those kind of things that there's a whole lot more shit that goes into running a business than just treating clients or teaching classes. All right. So the next thing I'm just going to give you a few of my favorite mantras because I did include these in the PDF. So if you are listening to this podcast, you can direct download the PDF. I'm going to list it in the show notes. You can also check over on Instagram, or if you're not on my email list, I invite you to go to my website, christagurka.com, and get on my email list because every podcast, well, not everyone, but most of my podcast episodes come with these downloads. So a few of the mantras that I like to use are, my worth is not defined by my productivity. I am enough. This is a big one for me because, like I said, I used to use productivity as a badge of honor. And like the busier I was, the more I thought people thought I was like amazing. And then I got external validation. Okay. That's a crock of shit, just so you know. Restoring my energy is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. So it's actually an act of me respecting myself. It's not selfish. Okay. I have 10 of these. So there's 8 more in the download. I really love these. I have them in little cards. Do I have them behind me? I have them like on my bulletin boards and stuff because I forget from time to time. And so like, that's why I have them. Like I have some here. I have these little cards, right? So, okay. So, grab the download. If you're interested in checking out one of our communities and helping you pull yourself out of burnout or preventing burnout at all, okay, go visit my website. Check it out, christagurka.com. The other thing I have to say, just the last thing I'm going to leave you with is 1, burnout is real. Okay, it is real. And 2, there are solutions to burnout. Combating it is real also. All right. So, ladies, that's all I got for you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's a tough conversation to have, but it's important to know you're not alone. And growing in a community, doing it together is, at least for me, it's been really beneficial and helpful. All right. So, until next time, my friends, bye for now.